Are you ready?
There's just as much special in anybody else that's in you.
Wow.
You get your self-worth when you demand it.
What was I stressing about again? Like, life is great.
I think you have to meet people where they're at.
Oh, gosh. That's a big one. But I love that you had to believe in yourself first.
Role model would probably have to be my mum. She's been able to manage by herself, but also keep a calm nature.
That part. My brother from across the pond.
Necessary with Tifani Sage.
Everyone, thank you for joining another episode of It's All Necessary with Tifani Sage. And today I have a very, very, very special guest. He is my brother, and I feel he's like my older brother, my father, my grandfather, because he has an old soul. It is none other than Dijian Eccles. Round of applause.
Thank you.
So Dij, he is a creator. Well, obviously, yeah, creator, but director and creative producer. And I'm just so proud of him. I wish I could just jump through the screen and just give you a big old hug. But without further ado, let's get this thing started. So let's kick into childhood. What was your fondest childhood memory, and why does it still resonate with you to this day?
My fondest childhood memory would have to be surfing in Jamaica. Probably age somewhere between 8 and 9. And yeah, I don't know why. The feeling was just like super liberating and just probably one of the best experiences ever in terms of sports. And it just sticks with you because yeah, no, I have to say definitely because like I think in terms of one of my fears was swimming, and I said, like, instead of like shying away from it, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go in the deep end, I'm gonna learn how to swim over there. That was already a challenge, and then the next thing was surfing. So I don't know, I think that's just always stuck with me, but I miss you too.
That. Excuse me. How would you say that your parents described you as a child?
I would say they described me as very adventurous. I definitely put up a challenge in terms of, I would, ask loads of questions. I would definitely, debate. Inquisitive, yeah, very. I debate a lot of things. What they said didn't necessarily mean it. That's what I thought. Yeah, those would be the three things. But I definitely say, yeah, very adventurous and always doing something.
Yeah. And I feel that definitely carried over into your adult life, but we'll get into that in a separate section.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think. Hobbies, activities, things that captivated you. What were those things in young Dij's world?
Hobbies. Oh boy, too many hobbies. Cycling all around different parts of London. I used to run a running club for a charity that was sponsored by Nike. Football, scootering, literally every single kind of sport, like swimming. Yeah, all those different things. And they've kind of carried over as well. Those are the things I've seen.
There is a common theme with what all that you listed that you were into was it has to do with movement. And do you feel, not to jump, but do you feel like a big part of you needs the movement, needs to travel, be different places to draw from different energies? I feel like for me, I can attest to that. That's how I feel with myself.
Yeah, no, I think similar to you. Literally, I think I was always a mover and shaker and doing something, and I think it gives me more energy and fuel. Definitely fills my tank up, and I feel like I have more energy from doing it. But also it's a good stress reliever. And as you probably know, like, you know, as we get older, like being more fit is the better thing to do. So yeah, having a good sense of activities and movement are only going to be more, you know, better for us.
Exactly. So last question on childhood, who would you say were the role models that you were exposed to, whether in person or on screen, and what was it about them that made you, I guess, like admire them and want whatever they embodied to incorporate that into your life?
It's a hard one because I've never really had any real like celebrities or anyone I've looked up to. I guess my role model would probably have to be my mum. Just because she's been able to manage an enormous amount of challenges by herself, but also keep a calm nature. So I've always kind of looked up to her and how she done that and how she was able to kind of, you know, manage 4 different children by herself. Obviously with the help of like people here and there, but those are the characteristics that I admire and want to be able to always maintain and also pass on to my children.
Well, I feel like you do, so. But question, do you know what it was, or if you've ever asked your mom, what kept her kind of like the energy, like when you said the calm, and I just imagine just like there's things all over the place, there's children to tend to, and also her personal life, but like what was the calm that she accessed to kind of keep her composure?
I think she's always referenced like digging deep and having a good connection with like God and you know, trusting in the universe and being able to dig into your internal core and just kind of, you know, push through things. So those same challenge, like, you know, the challenges that I get nowadays, I always kind of refer to that. And although I haven't got any one particular religion that I'm, you know, following, I definitely have a strong connection with like the Almighty and just being able to be thankful and, you know, calling up whatever I'm feeling upwards. So I think whether you believe in, you know, a God or not, if you're atheist or whatever it is, I think it's also like being able to meditate and just be one with yourself and try not to let your emotions overcome all the things that you need to be doing. And I think that's one thing, you know, leading back to activities and movement. I think that's a way I find burning stress and just being able to have some sort of relief and come to peace and meditate. Because obviously once you know, you go in on the gym or whatever it is you're doing, I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna be feeling tired, you're gonna be feeling like cool, and in that moment that you're exhausted, you find peace. So whatever it is, however people really truly, you know, see it, but that's how my mom does it.
I love it. I feel like I'm talking to Basti, like splitting image.
Shout out Basti.
Right?
Oh yeah, shout out Basti, man.
Ooh, the ponytail's coming in.
Yeah, a little something, you know what I mean? Need to get it redone soon.
Moving on to work and lifestyle. Love this. So, as far as you can remember, take us back to how you got your start in the, I want to say, entertainment media industry, because I feel like there's so many ways people can get in and are inspired to participate in it. What was like the first, not like big moment, but what was it that made you say, I want to get into it?
The first thing that made me want to get into it was through creating my own music and needing a video to be shot, not having the finances to be able to afford what people were charging, and creating a solution that we would just pick up my best friend's mum's camera that was laying around the house and just try a thing. So that was the first way we got into it, you know, making our own music videos and freestyle videos and then offering it as a service to like other friends who had seen what we had done, and and then from there it kind of grew over time. And that would be, I would say, yeah, that was the birth of my passion for filmmaking, or just being a creative, because it's like we could come up with an idea in the moment now, go out there, execute on the idea, and come away with, the raw essence of that we could put together and show people it. And it's like, it's a complete product. They don't see all the imperfections that we had to go through and etc. So I just fell in love with the process of being able to do all of that.
Yeah. Speaking of process, in a previous interview I just did, my guest, she was saying that a book that she's been reading that has helped her with falling in love with the process is called Chop Wood, Carry Water. So I'm just dropping that gem because I'm going to read on it just because it just seems so, what's the word? Applicable, where it's like chop wood, carry water, chop wood, carry water. And it's kind of like, we can sometimes the mundane piece of the process can be, I don't know, daunting and not exciting, not motivating, but it all is for our greater good, and it's going to carry us through. What would you say was the career springboard moment in being a director / producer, where when it happened you were like, oh my God, this thing is like really real?
So the springboard moment. So for years I'd been trying to push through and shoot videos on smaller DSLR cameras, and I'd wanted to kind of upgrade, as every director wanted to, does at some stage, push the boundaries, bigger cameras, bigger lighting, make everything look more fancier. And it came around organically. I actually just came back from LA, and needed some money. And one of my friends that I've been filming for said to me like, hey, do you want to go and film this video, etc. It's got a lot of like interest in it. It was popping off on Snapchat at the time. I co-directed it with somebody else and edited it, and came out, and it done really, really well. When like it was, the streams were great, radio's picking it up, and off the back of that, a label done a single deal for that track. So then they had a proper budget, or not a proper budget, but like now a couple thousands to be able to play with. And that was the first moment where I felt it come into life, because I had been able to turn this I'm using my little handheld camera into cool, I've got a team of people, and the quality is stepped up. So yeah, shout out EMAC for the opportunity.
Question about when you said you had the team of people. Was that the first time that you were in a position where you're delegating and giving orders? And regardless if yes or no, how did you feel out of place to kind of give direction, or you just felt like everything I had ever gone through led me up to this opportunity now, and now I feel comfortable to tell, whoever XYZ, go do this, or I need you to, get me that, whatever?
No, I think, so the first point being, was it a new experience in kind of leadership? I wouldn't say so. I'd say I'd had smaller opportunities of doing it on maybe smaller cameras with a crew, but it didn't feel official because it didn't have like the scale of what we was doing. And looking back now, often, that's just a misconception, because it doesn't matter what camera you're filming on or whatever. It's still the same thing. The same process that applies when you have a smaller budget is the same process you apply when you have a bigger budget. There'll just be more things that, papers that need to be signed, and documents that need to be approved on the bigger ones. So yeah, that was, it felt natural when we jumped up to like doing the bigger production value video. And in a sense that's kind of the answer. But It's also at the same time always a consistent learning journey. I don't think anybody particularly knows everything at any one time. So I like to get feedback and learn and absorb info. So for me, it was like, okay, where I maybe envisioned doing 5 shots in 20 minutes because of what I was used to doing on a smaller camera, I needed to be realistic because the bigger camera requires a bigger team, which then means that every little decision takes up more time. So there were definitely components in terms of leading people that on those bigger ones that I learned and still learning.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, by the way, I feel like you always have everything figured out, even though you're like, nah, sis, it's not that. And da-da-da-da. It's like, oh, D, stop. Like you have it all figured out.
Trust me.
Let me see. Have you ever wanted to pivot completely from directing and even like the commercial space and doing something totally different? So AKA quitting. And if you ever felt that way, what was the plan B going to be?
Definitely. There's been points like, when I first got my results in secondary school, which would be, I don't know if it's college for you or something like that, but I was like, okay, if I don't get the grades I need to get to the college, then I'll go and do landscape gardening. Because I used to like garden all the time with my mom, and I like plants and stuff. So that was the first backup. And more recently, I've just been thinking about like being able to do things like property development or trading, more to be able to just secure the bag. Not really like another passion, but still, those things. Those are the only things.
A source of revenue.
100%. What about yourself?
How would you? Oh God. Well, you personally know my journey with music, so I just feel so. For those who don't know, I've always wanted to be when I was 12, wanted to be a rapper, but from 18 to say 25, thereabout, strictly songwriting. And it was taking longer. I think what was the most frustrating part for me in my journey was I was in the right rooms, I was meeting the right people, and it's like being so close to something and still there is no like, hey Tiff, like you're amazing, I love your material, let me bring you into the office and blah 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 blah. So it was very frustrating, and at one point I was like, you know what, sod this music stuff. I'm gonna go be a flight attendant and just travel the world, live my best life. But then I noticed every time when I would want to put all of my energy into something else, a music friend would be like, yo, come to the music, come to my my video shoot, and we need to get into the studio. And it's just like, oh, why does music keep doing this to me? It's like a horrible toxic relationship. But I've realized I'm still learning now. But I've realized I needed music, even though I was trying to be like the next Diane Warren or the next Esther Dean or the Dream. It's like, no, God has something else in store, but you do need to take the route of the music path, because I'm going to have you be doing this. And even to this point with my podcast, it's so easy for me to call on so many creatives because I've invested so much into the music. So as of right now, it's like, okay, I see the point. I see the relevance now, why I had to be doing the music, but to be continued.
Yeah.
How are you currently balancing your work and your personal time? And because like, you're still like fairly a new father, that it's like, how do you show up, for each thing, and show up not 100%, but as best as you can?
Ooh, interesting one, because I just said good night to the little one. And how do I do that? I mean, essentially, I just try and where I can just give the best that I can. Like, I understand that I'm not always going to be able to have a consistent routine just because the nature of filmmaking is very spontaneous in terms of music videos, content, commercials. And I understand that, like, what I can do, instead of me worrying about all the things that I can't do, I'm going to focus on being the best version I can in the time and space that I have with every decision, whether that means if I get paid, some money, I'm going to put some money aside for Ariella and Leo. If I have a spare day and I'm not doing anything, I'm going to go over there. If I can do my work and be there at the same point, I'll do it. So I try to have a routine where I pick them up like twice a week, and that just means like dropping her to nursery and picking her up. And those little things just kind of give me the joy and the time that we need to be able to have a little laugh or etc. But it's definitely been a battle because being a busybody all the time and, going and doing all these things and being, having this entrepreneurial spirit, I've had to recently kind of dial things back and question what are my true goals and intentions in life, because you do all these things, you go to work, etc., with the aim of being able to live a better quality life with those that you love. But then when it becomes so consistent all the time and it has that toxic trait of not really having a balance, you start to question everything about it. So I've been in that journey recently, just trying to understand it a little bit more and figure it out, and maybe see if I need to get a full-time job and then hustle on the side. Still figuring it out, to be honest. Just because like root. I think
we keep like talking the same time, but I was just gonna say
go on.
I think it can be very tricky when you love I'll say this. Sometimes I feel there's those who are chained to doing what they love because they want to be able to have more free time now with their loved ones. And then I think it can get complicated when you absolutely love what you're doing and it's like, yes, I want to spend time with my family as well, but I love what I'm doing. So I can only imagine, I mean, I'm not married as yet, but I can only imagine, the tug and the pull between the two.
Yeah, definitely can be. And like what I've most recently, done is, like, for instance, on the time I do have, I just try to use my phone less, and just, if that means it's on do not disturb, or if sometimes you find yourself like using your phone whilst with them, and I always think about, she's seeing me use the phone, and I don't want her to make that connection of thinking that I'm always like not spending quality time. So I try to make active decisions in the time that I have to be present in the moment. And I think that's what matters the most. It's not about being there all the time. It's about making the effort.
That part. And I do feel I've seen it in my own life. When I have more on my plate, it helps me to decide what is it I really want to show up for, because I can't spread myself thin every single day. So it's like, no, these 3 things, these 4 things, and then the rest push to a next day, or don't do it at all, so that I know I'm showing up 100%. What has been a life experience, a work experience where it became a blessing in disguise? Like originally you weren't feeling up to, I don't know, showing up to a video shoot or working with someone, but it turned out to be like, oh my God, I needed this experience.
That's a good one. Okay, so I've got a couple. So for instance, I'd been reaching out over many years to a production company that had come from similar backgrounds as myself. A lot of people in film, they come from backgrounds where their dads or parents or mums, whatever, have been in the industry, so they have prior knowledge. Whereas this company had kind of started up themselves and were, leading in their own lane. So I'd contacted them like a couple of years ago and made efforts to reach out. I think I got through to the assistant or so, and she got back to me, let me know that she's seen the email, and that obviously, she let me know if there's any opportunities, where they are, etc. It's quite a small team, although they were doing big things. And years later, a friend of mine put me up for a project, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to produce a film? I'm not too sure of or short film. I'm not too sure of the details, but etc. etc." So he put me in contact with the person. It turns out that was one of the owners of the company that I reached out to.
Wow.
And yeah, so he had seen the messages and stuff. So and then obviously, because it helped, because I knew one of the people working for him. So he was like, "Okay, cool, you knew about it, etc." He had asked me. He said essentially, we have a short film and we're looking for someone to produce it. So I was like, yeah, that sounds dope. But obviously, one of my passions are directing, and that's my main passion. And so he basically said, like, well, we're still, looking for directors as well. And, if you know any, we put them forward. And I was like, hey, listen, like, I also too direct. I can send you my portfolio. And that ended up in me being able to co-direct and co-produce, one of the biggest short films that I've ever directed in terms of financially, but also on the platform that it went on to.
I love that because what's the saying? What is it? Something about like success equals preparation with luck or something like that. But I love that you had to believe in yourself first, learn all that you could in that moment, and then create content and have a portfolio, and not knowing when you're going to meet someone who is a big break or a big plug to get you further. But it's like, focus on your right now, be resourceful with what you have right now, and then when you reach out to people, the right person will give you the green light, and then it's like, boom. I think a lot of people, they haven't put a lot of time and energy and focus into their craft and reaching out to people, and then it's like, okay, you meet so and so, but you have nothing to show them of what you've done. So I love how that happened for you. Let's see.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Is there anything?
And I would say, no, and I would just say, like, briefly, like, and it is about that. It's about, like, just taking action in the small ways that you can control, because sometimes we're so focused on the big goal that we don't realize, like, the smaller things that we could be doing with our time, and we can find ourselves complaining about not getting opportunities. So, like you said, like, preparation, meeting luck.
Is there anything that you've worked on that you feel like, with the amount of time of energy that you've put into it, it hasn't materialized into what you thought it was going to be?
Many things.
That's fair. We don't have to go into
it. Yeah. No, I would just say, it's at the same time, I use everything. Well, I'm starting to see everything as a blessing in some way, shape or form. Just because, again, it comes back to that, accountability, and things will go right when they are meant to go right. Like, for instance, it wasn't meant to go right when I emailed them initially asking about a project, and although I might have been building myself up in my career or of a production company, it hadn't gone right in my head, but then it came full circle. So I sometimes think, like, we have to learn how to receive the blessing or whatever we're asking, because every problem that I've been through, everything that I've wanted to solve, some way, shape or form, it gets solved, whether that's now or in a couple of years. But you could probably do it back in your own life as well. You start to think about all the things that didn't go to where you thought it was going to go, but it's like, you're still here, you're still thriving, and you're still in the right spaces. So, and who's to say that blessing isn't going to come? Like, it could come in a couple. Yeah, so time. So it's like, I think my maturity and understanding all that I asked for, now I'm a little bit more careful and cautious of how much complaining I do, and also the things I ask for, because sometimes they've come when I've not mentally been prepared for them.
Oh, Jesus,
so I think that's that's why I like.
I was gonna say, this is very left field, but it came to my head, so I'm gonna say it. But there's two things actually. But I remember saying I wanted the attention from someone and totally forgot I had put that out there. I was dealing with someone and that person came back, and it's like, oh my God, I have two people now. And yeah, that was a freaking disaster and a problem. But it's like, as you said, be careful, what you wish for, because it can come and it not come at the time, that you really want it. Also too, with to the note of when I was saying, at times when I'm meeting the right people in my head with the music stuff, I remember there is this Arabic quote that it said, something could be as close on the tip of your tongue, but it still never like gets inside of you, versus you being someplace and the thing that you want is like on a mountain in the farthest place on the other side of the world, but it will find its way to you. And I feel that quote just reminds me, what is to be will be, regardless of how far and wide and impossible it may be. And you could be in the face of what you think you want and it could never come to you. So that was a little like,
exactly that, and I definitely fully agree as well. Like, sometimes we are in the midst of what we want, but it's just a process. It's just, it ain't gonna be you open the door and it's in your face. Sometimes you got to do that uphill climb, and it's annoying, but you get to the top and you're like, oh, this is it, cool. And then you set another challenge and you're just like, whereas now I'm like, any challenges that I do go face, obviously they suck when they don't go the way I want them to be going, because in my head I want it to go like clockwork, but that's life, that's just how it happens.
What recent business conversation or personal conversation that you had that you got a major gem from it and it resonated with you?
Oh, business. I have quite a lot of conversations. There's a lot of gems, but I'd say one of them that's definitely stuck with me recently is just the idea of simplification, and just like not making things over complicated for no reason. I think sometimes, we want everything to be perfect and we want to the rollout of it to be sweet, but like, just and therefore that can stagnate our blessings and just make all the work that we're putting in feel like it's for nothing. Whereas like, I'm starting to realize like people take value from different ways. So what I want to be perfect, somebody might be looking at it like it's flawless. And people also love a journey and a story, so they want to see you progress over time. So me simplifying the process in my head in terms of everything, whether that's business systems, my own personal life, money, like I want things to be simple and concise and easy to understand for anyone. People don't operate off of complicated systems. They don't perform that great. So simplify everything.
You came to preach, my brother. Moving on to the next segment, top 2. What would you say are the top 2 books or any piece of literature or film that left an impact on you?
Oh, cool. One of them is called, you know what? I've got other books that I've read recently that I really love. Okay, I'll just say the ones I know because I can't remember the exact name of it at the moment.
Yeah.
But one of them is Think and Grow Rich, like by
I forget his name, but I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Carnegie. Yeah, you know what I talk about. And then the other one is most recently, I would say it's 100 mil offers, 100 million offers, or dollar offers, which is by Alex Hormonzi. Sorry if I butchered the name, bro. But
and thank you
that one's good.
Putting me onto that Cardone one, the 10x rule. Oh my god, I didn't finish
the 10x.
it as yet. I'm going to, but that one was just like, and to me, just my experience with reading the book and applying it, it makes getting the answer so much, I don't know if it's quicker or easier, but it's like, so for anyone who hasn't read it as yet, it's just like, for example, if you want something, reach out to at least 5 to 10 people and you'll be sure to like get it, versus just reaching out to one person or two people. It's just, to me, it has expedited things. What was that book that you said, 100 offers or something?
100 million dollar offers. I've actually got it on me. It's a great book.
And what did you like about it?
This book.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a great book just because in terms of like making like offers and building like upscaling your offers, I think sometimes as a business owner, like we think that we have to do 10 times the amount of work, when sometimes the answer could just literally be doubling down on, you know, a certain amount of customers and using new language and making an offer. And this book is basically about making an offer so good that anyone can't resist it, but doing it in a controllable way. So he too has been through the journey of running a business and not having any money left, and you know, hitting that obstacle of, okay, what do I do to get to run it up? And like it got suggested to me from someone who I was being mentored by and paying for their service at their time, and it was just like, it stuck with me. Like, you know, I recently picked it back up again, and there's things that when I first read it, I was like, okay, cool. But now I'm reading it again, and now I'm in alignment with the message, what he's saying. It's just hitting home. So yeah, definitely a great book. Definitely a great book.
Top 2 locations that you've traveled to in the world that left you feeling, I guess, better than when you went there.
Top 2. Jamaica, number 1.
Yes. Represent the 876.
But. And then, another country that's left me feeling like, wow.
I feel like you love Denmark.
Austria.
Oh, sorry, Austria. Yeah.
Austria. Oh my God, Austria's beautiful, man. It's like,
what about it? That's how I feel about Sweden.
Oh, Austria's like another level. Austria's like, you know, even though I'm allergic to hay, so I've got hay fever. Boy, like summertime in Austria, you're climbing up the mountain and like you're going to the peak and everything's so peaceful. The air's so clean. The streets are clean. Everything's just, people are peaceful. People are walking. Like everything about it's just like a perfect dream holiday to be able to have some time off. And yeah, it's just, it hits different, and it's just so like quiet and clean and just just it's like a life reset. I done a lot of trips there when I was younger with my mum and other siblings, and I haven't been back in ages, but I definitely need to go back.
That's how I feel about Sweden. And thanks to you, I went because I remember at that time in my life, I'd moved back from LA to Florida for, I think, like 8, 9 months or something. And I had no business charging up cards and stuff to go, but I'm so glad. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get through this moment, but I do need to go, back to England. I do need to, experience Sweden with you. And that, to how you described Austria, is how I feel about Sweden. It was just so, and even the amusement park that we went to, just everything about it felt like bliss. And it's like, what was I stressing about again? Like, life is great.
Yeah. We had so much fun. That was an amazing trip. I'm so thankful you came as well, because it's like,
thank you.
Like, it was so random that you was like, yeah, I was gonna come. I was like, bro, you're gonna come, like, like, I don't, and no other sibling has ever decided to come with me on a trip. So yeah, we had a very, very great time. And I feel like you've made lifelong friendships with some of our friends, in Sweden as well. She still talks about you to this day.
Get out.
So yeah, all the time. She asks me, she's like, "Oh, how's Sharian?" I was like, God. Tifani, and I was saying,
yeah, I love that. Yeah. What would you say are your favorite 2 mental health practices that you honestly cannot do without?
Now it has to be going to the gym. I go to the gym. I used to go to bed very late and work into the night, 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning sometimes, and make an excuse that I'm a late worker, staying up late. Yeah. But I've recently switched it around, and now I wake up at like 5 or 6 and go to the gym every day. Wow, that's a big one. And another mental health therapy. I started therapy last year, and it was a new experience. I've been wanting to do it for ages, but couldn't afford it. And then I finally was able to said, I'm just going to stop spending money over here and go and use that money over there. And like having someone to be able to talk to about your emotions and just like all those things, it instilled like life lessons in me and just the confidence back that I thought I didn't have. So yeah, those would be 2. And if you can't afford that, another great thing that Sebastian, our brother, shared is a journal. And I'd been journaling when I was living in Jamaica, and I was like 8 or 9, but it was a kiddie journal. So, but I never picked it up again. I never thought to, in my adult years to do it. And then on a trip to LA, I was talking to him about like how he found, de-stresses, and he suggested like go and grab a journal. So when I was in New York, grabbed a journal, and I was just like, yeah, I've been journaling ever since.
I love that. When was it hard for you, or what was the process when you were finding the right therapist for you?
I had a conversation with another director about like mental health and how she was finding it, and she just suggested like, you should hit up my therapist, and if you're interested and stuff. I've been told more recently that there's like sites where there's a specialist therapist like within this from the same backgrounds as us, and that was a key thing. I didn't want to have to explain myself with all the different nuances of being black and being them in the UK. So do you know what I mean? And I went to her therapist and tried it, and it was amazing. Like it's like having an auntie that you can go and sit down with and have one of those chats, and they just listen to you. But then when they aren't give you, when they repeat back what you said, and because she's a life coach and a therapist, she was going a little bit over beyond. Maybe a therapist usually just listens, but she was actually like coaching me through what I'm feeling and all the different things. Yeah. But it was it hit home because she's from the same culture. She understood everything I was saying. I didn't have to go over and beyond and explain everything. So yeah.
Yeah. And like trying to convince and persuade and all that. I love that. 2 pieces of advice, your top 2 pieces of advice that you've been given or you like told yourself?
Two pieces of advice. Wait, say I've been given or I've learnt myself, you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I've realized like imposter syndrome and all these things, they only have value when you give it that time of value. Like you have to learn that you are able to get through anything, and that your mind will trick you and will tell you things that sometimes are a little bit more negative. There's a great documentary on Netflix called Stutz. Jonah Hill does a series where a documentary with his own therapist, and they talk through.
I watched that. It was the black and white one.
Yeah. And he talks about part X, which is like the negative side of your brain, and how it kind of tries to convince you of all these other things that, that you're not worth it, and all these things. And I'd say I've definitely overcome over the last 2 years. I definitely overcame like that, because having a child meant that I had to kind of take it easy along across a lot of things, and because of that, I wasn't as active and proactive as maybe I used to be. So I started to feel like I was a different person and I was a bit of a fraud. So I kind of came through imposter syndrome.
Wait,
and
in the parenting realm?
No, more just like how active I'd had been being a director, directing all the time.
Got you. Okay.
Always, more in career wise. As a parent, I was fine, but I also didn't really feel like I was able to provide as much as I'd maybe wanted to, because of the fact that I'd taken the time to spend time like nurturing Ariella. So that's one thing. But like, believe in yourself. Like, don't listen to your mind. Exercise, because the more you feel in tune with your body, it's been said in so many different books that I read, but the more you move and get active, that's the first phase of beating anything. And the second piece of advice that I've been given is, that's a good one. The second piece of advice, I'd say just like learning to be myself, and just like learn that, like, whatever you think is special about a celebrity or whatever, etc., everybody's human, and there's just as much special in anybody else that's in you, and that the advice would be the one that my mum gave to me, and she was just like, you get your self-worth when you demand it. When you demand, like, this is what I am and this is who I am, you really do become that person. But if you allow other people to determine how valuable you are, you're putting yourself at jeopardy, because everybody has a subjective view on you, and it's not really that great. So
oh my god, that's big. Wow.
Thank you.
Shout out to your mom.
Great questions as well. Great questions as well, I must say. Great host. You got some fire questions.
Moving on to essence, what does Dijian love about himself?
I love the fact that I have been given a lot of feedback to say that I have a kind nature, and that I just a kind nature. Just, in a world full of so much destruction and hate and things going on, I try to remain resilient against all of those things and still share joy and love with others. And so I love the fact that I'm able to do those for other people as much as do it for myself now.
I approve this message. You definitely have that. And how do you find that you preserve that about you? Because I feel, especially in this industry where, I don't know, if someone takes advantage of you or it's just slimy, envious, jealous people, that could slowly change us to be that back, whether to that person or to people that who come after us. How do you feel you preserve your kind nature?
I think you have to meet people where they're at. That's something I've learned. Like,
Oh gosh, that's a big one.
yeah, because there's many times that you try to do those things with those people that aren't giving you the energy back, and you just become deflated. And I think when you put yourself, when you make yourself vulnerable to that, that's when you risk losing those key qualities. But what I've learned is, like, you have to meet people where they're at. You have to deal with people based on how they deal with you. So sometimes I might not give as much, which then they're not able to then, hurt me in those ways. So you have to limit who you are. Do you have that super kind nature, and then just keep it stripped back when you're dealing with people that maybe could be a detriment to your own health.
Yeah. Not to say, I have to be careful of how I say this, but I feel, obviously, because we have the same father, that I feel a little bit that there is a little of that. I'm trying to like word it the right way because I don't want it to, make it seem as if it's like a bashment or whatever. But how, I don't even know where to begin. But I know exactly 1,000% what you're saying, and I feel sometimes being the jovial, like, let's all kumbaya, let's whatever, that sometimes I can't bring that to said person or whomever because that's not their program. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of, as you said, strip back a little bit. And sometimes the other person could be like, oh, how come you're so friendly and, upbeat with that person, but you're not like that with me? And it's like, I want to be like that. But have you set an environment for me to give that, So I totally understand what you're saying. Wow.
Yeah, you got to protect your bubble, because
when would you say you're most yourself, and when are you not yourself?
I'm most myself when I am by myself.
Ooh, that's fair.
Yeah. I'm most myself when I'm just like listening to my music, vibing, doing whatever. Yeah, or with my friends, to be honest. Even not even friends. They're like family members at this stage. But yeah, certain people, like, I would just chat off and just be so chatty and just be any thought in my head I'm saying out loud and having conversations about it. The most it's interesting. I sometimes shut myself up, like, maybe I'm being a little bit too chatty. Let me shush.
I was gonna ask with that because I feel I can be a chatterbox when I'm ready. But have you ever spoken too much and then realized, like, ooh, that person that I was talking to is actually a dream killer, or they don't want to see me shine and exceed?
I've realized lately that everybody probably has good intentions, but sometimes the energy that I'm looking for from them, I might be disappointed if I don't get a certain response. But also, everybody has their own intentions for you. So I have to be careful with the information I give people, because you lose power when you let other people know your plans. And I'm someone that, like, would openly tell you, like, depending on the level of relationship, all the things I'm up to and doing, and not bat an eyelid. But I've realized that personally, even sometimes I lose the fire, the perseverance when I've went and told 3, 4, 5 other people. So it's better to just keep it to myself and then execute on those things and only speak about it when it's done.
Yeah, I want to dive a little bit into that because I think I'm naturally close-lipped to many people. And I realized the other day I'm that way because for so long I've been told from many different people from many different walks of life, like, oh my gosh, you have like this light about you. You're so like positive and you're so this and that, that it made me think like, why are they saying, why is everybody saying this? Are people not like this? And so that made me more cautious of like, okay, I don't think everyone's like this then, because why is everyone making a big deal about it? What was it? I wonder what the science is behind that when you said you felt you were losing power because you were telling people, and if I don't know what their feedback was, but is it just kind of like, for example, this is your plans, and as you're telling people, you're pouring, and then now you have like a little bit left.
Yeah, exactly that glass of water is a representation of your energy towards wherever it is. So the more that you share with other people, the less you lose of the energy that you're putting into it, and they become words. And now I'm like a little bit more apprehensive to speak on everything I'm doing, and just do it and enjoy the process of doing it. And when it's ready to be shared with the world, that's when you market it and you told those that need to know. But everybody has their own intentions for you, so sometimes the thing that you're doing might not be the thing that they can even envision for you. So they might not give you the support, love, or guidance that you're looking for, and that might even be a deterrent to your own self. So that's why you have to sometimes guard it. Yeah, because it's natural. Like, it's like if I told you like, hey, I'm gonna become I'm gonna go into the army, and I'm gonna do this, you might tell me no, like, you don't want that for me, but that might be what I feel like is my calling. So now that becomes a deterrent for what, whereas if I just do what I need to do and let you know at the stage that I'm ready to share it, then it's like you're just gonna have to accept whatever the choice I make for myself. So when it comes to your creative projects, your music, it's like share it with those that you truly feel like are going to add value to what you're doing, and not those that you think are just going to be just there for the sake of knowing your life and what you're up to for their own gain.
That part, that's so right. How would you say your upbringing has shaped you to how you are, for better or for worse?
Great question. My upbringing, I think my mum nurtured me very well, and she gave me all the tools that I needed to be a great man. However, not having an active father figure in my life meant that there's a lot of things that I had to learn and teach myself. I think I'm still learning a lot of things, especially being a father, and things like confidence and being able to instill that same confidence into others. And I think that because of, my mum's such like a kind-hearted person, and she's always trying to give to, help the other person, I've naturally been a giver and not been as selfish as I needed to be. So I've learned that I've been pouring out of a glass that's half filled, and whereas I should be pouring out of a glass that runneth over. But now, obviously, it's a great thing to recognize, because it's great to have that kind heart. But again, it's about making sure you love yourself, like, just as much as, even more than you even loving other people, because you can only love people. A happy person says and does happy things for other people. An unhappy person is unable to be happy for others, truly.
That part, yeah, that's so true. With the role model piece, was it too, or I guess one, it's like maybe it wasn't a connection, but was it too much to ask of your older brothers to be like, hey, can you show me how to, be a man? Because I feel like a woman, there's certain things a woman can impart on her son, and then there's definitely other things that a man or an uncle or whomever, that older male figure, can impart into a man. How was that, like, the relationship with your older brothers?
I'd definitely say, like, especially nowadays, I think with men it's not really a talking thing. I think it's like you observe and watch them through their actions. Not everyone's perfect, and not everybody has everything figured out, despite being older or younger or whatever. But you just got to take the good from what you can see. There's things that some of my older brothers do that I don't agree with, but there's also things that I see them do that I admire them for. There's things that Basti has been able to teach me from afar that we don't live together, etc., just through our conversations. So you gain different things from each person, and equally they're just as important as each other. But I don't think men necessarily talk as much. They kind of it's tough love more so.
Wow. And how would you, because you're raising a young boy, how has your dynamic with him been? Has it been half talking, half follow what you see me do?
I try to break the cycle. This is a conversation I was having with my other sister, Donya. And just the other day, and I was saying, like, I like to bring him into like grown up conversations, about how the world works, stocks, bonds, money, from young, because I think it's good to know how it operates, and I'm trying to cultivate his inquisitive mind, because he's always asking questions.
I love that.
So yeah, like, I think it's good to feed them the information they want to know, like, and even when they don't want to know certain things, you have to find a way of bringing them into those things without it feeling like a chore, because I think when it becomes a chore for a child, they just dislike it and hate it. So you have to make it fun and gamify it in a sense, so that you can all enjoy it, but yeah, there's many things I'm still learning, like, it's still a process.
What would you tell 13-year-old Dijian?
I would say not to care about anyone's opinions but your own, and to just go and chase your dreams publicly without shying away from public attention.
Ooh. And what do you feel back then public attention was, as far as why it was not something that was desirable?
I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself because I had a cyst on my head back then, and I would often get like teased about it. I was very like, I felt shameful of just having a bump on my head. So a lot of the times I would try to avoid compliments, avoid attention. Although I was pursuing music and making music videos, I would actively, sit on the side of the bus on the left hand side, or wear my hoodie up, or certain behaviors. But I've come to realize, like, as you grow up, like, none of these opinions matter. It doesn't matter whether you have what X, Y, and Z. It did teach me the true nature of how people actually behave when you have something that's different with you. So it was beneficial to know how people treat you when you're in a different position to when you're, not in that same position anymore. But I would have just wanted to quieten all the noise and the self-hate, not self-hate, but kind of like the self-criticism that I would have in my own head.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when whomever, I don't know, family members, friends, strangers say that, and then it's like their noise on top of your own noise, and it's just like, I need to get out of this. And you had a point when you said about like learning the nature of how people respond or act towards you. in the sense of, for example, obviously living in LA is, to me, is its own world and its own circus. And I've seen how like the attention on me is different than, say, another person who may look like me or may look different based on like what I drive, how I look. And it's just crazy where it's like, wow, it's all a game. It's all a game.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, and this is why it's so important to love yourself, and why I'm thankful for that. I had a supportive mother in my life, or parent in my life. It doesn't even matter, you know, like just the essence of like teaching you self-love. I think a lot of times, you know, your parents try to tell you stuff, or guardians or friends or whatever, and when you're not in a place of being able to receive that message, you pass it over to them. Well, you know, you're different generation, you don't get it, or you're this or you're that. But like the same principles back then apply to the same principles now. And you know, my mum always used to say, like, I used to say, oh, I would love to be rich, and she was like, you are rich, you're rich in spirit. And it's a different type of currency, and I didn't appreciate it until I started to go out into the world more and get that sort of appreciation. And I realized, like, being rich in spirit can buy you anything you want. You know, you can get those materialistic things, but when you're rich in spirit first, and then you get those things, you embody a different type of power. And I think, despite whether you have materialistic things or not, people always treat you differently in a good way. You know, some people might be jealous of the fact that you're able to, like yourself, like you said, you know, shine bright and not dim your light, and you know, smile and not be faced with the same pressures that they might have gone through and the way they've dealt with it. So those that appreciate that currency don't care about what you drive, don't care about what you wear, you know. They enjoy more the simpler things. But yeah, that's definitely been a huge deterrent in coming to America, because getting the bag over there is important.
A while ago. Oh yeah, very important. You just said something so like it like hit me in a good way where, wow, sorry. I feel like when you said it, it's like it was like psh, and now I can't remember what the heck it was. 1 second. When you said when people who are rich in spirit, they just gravitate to the richness of your spirit versus where you live, what your zip code is, what you drive, who you know. And I feel like it could be applied to everything, but I think a good gem for us to recognize where somebody's operating out of is, what do they emphasize a lot about you? So if, for example, if it's you, if they're like, yo, Dish, I can't believe you know so and so. Oh, I can't believe you drive this. I can't believe you have this much amount of money. It's like, oh, okay, this is what excites them. Versus if it's like, I just love being around you. I love how calm your spirit is. I love the gems that you speak of. And I'm getting goosebumps. I just feel like that was just like a major key for me to kind of hone in even more my discernment, the people around me and what they cherish or appreciate about me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely is like a balance, because you know, there are a lot of people that might not have the financial gains to be able to help you in your, you know, in your business venture or take you to the next level. But I think there's people that are rich in spirit that are in all walks of life, and sometimes you just never know where it's going to take you. So it's like you just gotta hold on to it and keep it there. You know, use it in the right spaces and stuff like that. Don't overuse it, because some people will, you know, they do gain off of the amount of joy that you're able to give, and sometimes they do it for their own selfish intentions. But it's a gift, and there's a lot of people that have been born into even better, you know, or even more privileged situations that don't have that type of richness. So and want that richness. They don't know how to be joyful. They're going through things. They have all the materialistic things, and they're still not happy. So
wow.
Yeah, it's just a blessing to be appreciative of.
I always had this analogy in my head. Oh shit! Sorry, it scared me. Can you still hear me?
Saying busy girl.
What's going off? I know. I hope it doesn't go off again. I don't even know how to put D&D on my iMac. But
let's go.
Oh, damn! That really freaking frightened me. I always there's this analogy in my head where I said, let's just say I was a rich man and I'm, I don't know, in a poor country, and I meet someone who has no shoes, barely any clothes on their back, but they're so happy. Sorry.
That's all right.
I told myself how unhappy I would be if it's like I'm the richest person in the world and I'm so unhappy, yet here's this person with barely anything and they're just beaming with happiness. And so that was just a reminder to myself that no amount of wealth that I amass, if that makes sense, that I gain, that it's an inside job first.
Oh, there's a book, and I'm just urging to say it. I'm just trying to find it. And if I find it, I definitely will. I completed it maybe earlier this year, like maybe actually this time last year. I'm gonna have to follow up, but that book is amazing. Everything you've just said it is exactly that, and it's just the story in it. It's a fiction book, but
is it the monk who sold
the
his
messages?
Ferrari?
No, it's Sorry, I'm just gonna have to do this. Is what my brain does. No, it's not on it. It's not The Richest Man in Babylon. It's not that. It's
I've heard of that one too.
Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
It's by a guy called Paolo. I just can't remember his last name, but it's an orange cover, and it talks about a young boy shepherd traveling to the pyramids. But it's yes.
Okay.
I think it's
the
Alchemist.
Yeah.
I think it is the Alchemist.
Something like that.
Yeah. The Alchemist. Yep. Have you've read it, right?
Yeah, I had to read it 2 times because the first time I read it, I was just like, what? And granted, when I read it the first time, I didn't read all of it, but how the book started with the boy and the shepherd, and I'm just like, what is this? But then I was like, no.
But that is the exact journey.
Yeah.
So the second time you read it, how did you feel?
Oh, I loved it. I remember saying on a previous episode when in the book it said something about like when the wind is blowing, I don't know, like something like just you can feel the spirit of just the earth. And went outside, the wind was blowing, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it just felt like I felt renewed, and I felt like I was a part of something that was living and breathing, and everything was just working in my favor. I felt super connected.
What about the idea of like the treasure being where he initially started, but him not recognizing it?
Well, it's funny. I don't even remember that part, and I remember the anticipation. Go ahead. I want to hear.
Yeah. So essentially, for what I took from it is the premise that what he sought after, what he thought he wanted to go for. And sometimes, especially in entertainment business, we want to climb the ranks of chasing stardom, money, fame, all of these things. But the truth, the essence of what we need, sometimes is we already possess it. We think that getting to the end journey and getting to that touch point, e.g. the pyramid, is going to be fulfill us with happiness. And when he reached there, he wasn't happy. He realized that he didn't find the treasure, and that there was but when he returned back to the same place he had once, grew, nurtured his sheep and etc., he learned that the true treasure, he was always sleeping on it, and that he needed to go on the journey of whatever it was anyway to realize that it was always where he was, and that whatever he was chasing was just a self-fulfilled what's the word? Yeah, exactly.
Oh wait, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Prophecy. There we go.
Yeah.
But the prophecy was actually always where he was, and that he needed to recognize that. And when he recognized that, that's when he found the treasure.
Wow. I need to reread it again. Also, too, as we're speaking on books, Oprah's What I Know for Sure, that I read that, I think it was like early last year, but Oprah Winfrey is like freaking amazing to me. And I feel like she's an aunt of mine that I learned and just understood from afar. This is making me so happy, but I need to reread The Alchemist just because I feel too when you revisit things at different times in your life, you get different lessons from it.
Yeah, like 100%. Like I even read like Charlemagne's book and stuff, and it talks about the same journey that the shepherd went through. Yeah, the same journey that the shepherd went through, because there was periods in his life where he felt lost, like he had to give up temporarily on the dream, but he always had that urge in him to go and pursue it and seek out his treasure. But sometimes you have to learn how to just cool off and just, you unfortunately you're not able to do what you want to do in the moment, but that urge will always remain in you. And through all the different, like, I think the book is such a beautiful book because he comes across so many different challenges that almost can comfort him. Like he was earning good money, and it's like he didn't even need to go to the pyramids. He could return and, buy this and do that, etc. Then he meets his wife, and, he really loves her and wants to just settle down. And she says something deeply like, the fact of like, if you just settle with me now, she tells him his future, and the fact that he'll grow regretful, and then he won't be as happy, and that will impact their relationships, and that he should go and chase his heart's desire, and when he does that, then he should return to her. Like there were so many gems in that book that I just like I might even have to reread it because I read it just before going into 2023, so my perspective on everything was totally different. And yeah, that book is beautiful. That book is I've really loved it.
What was I going to say? I forgot. But what would you say is a life lesson that you had to learn the hard way?
Ooh. I would say I don't always have things right. I think sometimes I would also say a big lesson is learn to take my own advice. Instead of giving it out to 10 million. That's why with the
advice question, I was like, what advice have you been given, or advice you've learned yourself? Because I feel like with myself, I spend a lot of time alone, and I become like my own teacher, or I'm seeking things that are teaching me, but it's me seeking it. And so I kind of become the teacher to be like, you need this lesson, go read that, go watch that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those things where it's like, sometimes naturally I'll give advice to others and I won't even think about what I'm saying, but it's hitting home for whoever's hearing it. But one thing I've realized is that I need to start taking my own advice, and all the conversations about confidence and being disciplined and, putting yourself first and all these things. I've only started just truly applying them, e.g. through going to the gym and exercising properly and consistently. So I've just learned that, like, not to sleep on on the things I'm saying, take notes and observe and take advice and listen to others, what they say. But the most important is taking action on the things you already know, because a lot of times we sleep on it, and then somebody else says it again later in time, and it's like, oh, it's being said again in a different way. It feels special, but it's like you always knew what you needed to do. Yeah.
On to the fun section. Who is your dream collaborator in any kind of space, whether it's music, directing, producing?
Oh, that's a good one. Funny enough, I'm very bad with names. I don't really have any celebrities that I want to collaborate with. I would say musician-wise, there's a girl that I've been listening to. Oh, there's a few artists actually I would collaborate with 100%. I would love to collaborate with Kalani.
Ooh, okay.
I'd love to collaborate with a girl called Amber or Ambrie. Her voice is beautiful.
Is her last name?
No, it's just Ambrie.
Okay.
I'd love to collaborate with Cleo Soul.
Ooh, she's good.
Yeah. Those would be my top 3 female singers.
Love it. If you were given $10 million tonight, what would your tomorrow look like?
Tomorrow, my pension would have probably about 50% of that, and then and then everybody is getting flued out. We flying out. You know what I'm saying? We guys somewhere for a little break for a little 2-3 weeks, and then investments. Yeah.
What are you most thankful for?
I'm most thankful for I'd say I'm most thankful for the gift of life, and being able to enjoy it with other people, and that includes my daughter's life and the birth of her, and just like her, and she's like my twin. Like, she just knows how to be so joyous. Like, she just loves to smile, dance. Like, she really knows how to like change the vibe, and and I'm so appreciated the fact that like my mum has been able to experience the blessing of my daughter's life as well.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. What's one thing you want to let go of in 2024?
Self-doubt.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah. No more.
And it's crazy
no more doubting.
I was just going to say, like, I feel like, you can do anything you want to do. I don't know. I put you on this pedestal because it's like, I don't know. I just feel like you're like a yogi, and it's like, I want that. I'm going to manifest it, and it's going to happen. But I definitely hear you on the self-doubt.
I think what it is you as you climb up, you open yourself to a lot of criticism from other people.
Got you.
You also realize that the corporations that you're dealing with aren't all happy days, and they're not going to just deal with you in the best way because you're a nice person, and that those things can definitely chink at your armor and your belief in chasing your dreams and aspiring and climbing the levels. I think people always think about climbing to the top, but they don't understand all the intricacies and nuances that you have to break through in order to reach that 1%. And even when you're at the top, you've got to fight to stay there every day. It's not all fun and games. Yeah. So at one point I was thinking, even does it make sense to try and climb to the top of whatever field I'm doing and just maybe play like the middle class, but in with inflation and the economy, there is no middle class. The middle class is just
nigga.
Yeah. He's like, yo, if you ain't trying to reach the top, my boy, then you might just be back down here with us. So
true.
Yeah, self-doubt, I'd definitely say 100%, and fortitude to stick it out through all the tough times that you have to go through.
What would you like to say and or ask your older self, like your future self?
I would ask my older self, are you happy?
Oh my gosh, wow.
Like everything that you've achieved now, is it fulfilling you and giving you the happiness that you thought that it would give you?
Yeah, that's fair. And then last question, what is your ultimate life motto or mantra?
At the moment, it has to be life can be as simple as I would like it to be.
And when you say could,
so
does it mean the life could be simple, but you're making things complicated?
Yeah. So you don't have to overcomplicate things. You want to exercise more, go and exercise more. Your direct thought pattern affects everything in life. You want to feel good about yourself, go and exercise. You want to enjoy more time, like creative time, go and you should also check out the Artist's Way. That's another great book for pursuing your art. That book is amazing. And then what else is it? So the Artist's Way. I would say I would just definitely say it's just being yourself and just following what you need to do.
Just be you, be great, and do it all over again.
Be proud of the journey. Be proud of the process. The process is in itself is got so many gems and lessons. Like you could literally dissect so many different things from that one thing you've been through and apply it to whatever it is. So I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they was just saying you're actually not even a conversation. Actually, another book that I'm reading called "Asking It Is Given."
That's a good one. Yeah.
And it
by
was
Hicks or something.
Yeah, Asking It Is
Hicks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Beautiful book. Second time reading it, and it was just saying that your feelings are direct indicators of how things are going. So if you feel anxious, then obviously it has a chart for reading your own emotions. And I would just say there's ways to convert that energy into something positive. So it's just try and be aware of how you're feeling and things, and try and shift that energy into a new space, and pick up on the energy that your body's telling yourself. Because if I'm feeling anxious about something, then obviously something needs to be fixed. If I'm feeling joyous, then obviously I'm excited about whatever it is. So follow your indicators.
I love it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I give you my bruv, Dijian Eccles.
Thank you. Just want to big up Tifani. Thank you for having me on the podcast, and appreciate the time, the questions. Very, very great hosting, and look forward to seeing the episode and seeing all the other guests that you had on.
Thanks, Dee. I love you.